Hola amigos, buenos días. En este video vamos a practicar o aprender el subjuntivo en el presente con expresiones impersonales. So we're going to look at the present tense subjunctive using impersonal expressions in Spanish. I do have another video on this topic, and there's a link right here. And then I also have additional practice on this, and there's a link right here. The document that you have on your screen is available to you. There's a link in the description of the video that will take you to this document, and if you want to, you can print it off and take it with you. There's a lot of good information that you can take with you, so you don't have to take notes or write things down. You can just basically have it all with you and punch holes in it, and you're good to go. So the present tense subjunctive is something, well, really the subjunctive is something that does not exist in English, which makes it difficult for us gringos to get this down. So what you have to do is learn the different instances in which you're going to use the subjunctive and learn how to form the subjunctive. For now, we're just going to be looking at one instance in which the subjunctive is used, and I will also be showing you how to form the present tense subjunctive of regular verbs, irregular verbs, boot verbs, and more. So if this doesn't really make sense to you at the end of the video, but you understand how to form it and you understand to use it with these impersonal expressions, then you're good for now, because you'll probably be learning and using it more as you get further along in Spanish. So the impersonal expressions that we will be using in this video are right here. Es bueno que, es necesario que, es triste que, es una lástima que, es malo que, es bueno que, es terrible que, es mejor que, es importante que, es raro que, es lógico que. And what we're going to do is we're going to have some sentences that are going to start with these expressions, and what comes after the que, the that, is going to be the subjunctive. So what we're going to do here is look at the subjunctive, and just really quick to tell you what it is. Some people will call it a mood, which isn't very helpful, but once you learn when it's used, then it doesn't really matter what people call it, just as long as you know the rules as to when to use it. So some of the instances in which we're going to use the subjunctive are to give advice, to give demands, to express feelings, hopes, doubts, ideas about things and others. For now, we're going to be expressing opinions, really, ideas, with these impersonal expressions. To form the subjunctive is actually pretty easy if you've already learned how to do usted or ustedes commands, because they're quite similar to those with how I explain it as the idea of going to opposite endings. So for an AR verb like hablar in the present tense, these are the subjunctive endings for it. It goes to hable, hables, hable, hablemos, habléis, and hable. Notice that it ends in an E instead of like an A, like it normally would. And then in ER, IR verbs, those go to an A. So you'll notice it goes coma, comas, coma, etc. And vivir goes to viva, vivas, viva. So it should look like a lot like the usted commands that you learned, hopefully you learned a while ago. If not, no big deal, you can learn this now, and if you learn the subjunctive, then the usted commands later will be really easy for you. I'm going to move on here. How do you form the subjunctive with boot verbs? Well, the boot stays with these subjunctive verbs. So mostrar, which is a verb where the O changes to a UE, is going to go to muestre, muestres, muestre, mostremos, mostres, and muestra. And notice that the O does not change to a UE here outside of the boot. And perder kind of does the same thing. If you take a quick look at it, you'll notice that it has the boot around these four, and the ones outside of the boot don't do it. However, for sandal verbs, maybe you've learned this, in the preterite we have something called sandal verbs. I think some people call them something else. The technical term is a stem changing verb in the preterite, and that is when the bottom two verbs in the preterite have some sort of a change. Like pedir, for example, in the preterite, the E changes to an I on the bottom two verbs, so that is technically a stem changing verb in the preterite, or what I like to call a sandal verb to kind of keep with the whole feet thing. So you'll notice that the difference here between this boot verb, which normally is an E to I verb in the present tense, I keep that I change throughout, unlike these verbs where it's just in the boot. Repetir is also an E to I verb in the present tense, and it's also a sandal verb in the preterite, and you'll notice that the E to I change also stays with it all the way throughout, including the nosotros and the vosotros forms of the verb. So, I'm going to go down here a little more. You've probably heard about these car, gar, zar verbs. You've got to do something to them to keep the sounds that they have. So for tote car, or the car verbs, we got to change that C to a QU to keep the K sound. For the GAR verbs, we got to stick an extra U in there to keep the G sound. And for the ZAR verbs, we got to change that Z to a C. I have some other irregular verbs in the yo form. In the subjunctive, I just gave you the yo form because if you know the yo form, then the rest of the verb is pretty easy. It kind of follows that pattern, like you add the S for the to form, add the MOS for nosotros, and add the N for the ellos form. So if you know the yo form, you can probably figure out the rest of them. So I'll just say them to you really quick. Vaya, de, esté, ponga, haga, diga, salga, tenga, venga, sea, vea, conozca. And there are others. I just gave you some more popular ones that I like to use. And then just FYI for you, for reflexive verbs, like verbs that end in the SE, like cansarse, we're still going to take that se, put it in front, change it to me, te, se, nos, os, or se, and then we'll just conjugate what's left, the cansar, into the subjunctive, which keep in mind the whole opposite idea, and that shouldn't be too difficult. So what I've done for you here is to see if you kind of just got the idea of how to form the subjunctive. I made an activity for you. There are 10 sentences here. Again, if you want to print this off and actually handwrite it in, you can do that if you open up the document from the link in the description, or if you want to just pause the video right now and jot them down somewhere, you could do that. But what I'm going to do is ask that you pause the video, do the activity, and in about 2 seconds I'm just going to read the answers to you. So here come the answers. Pause the video if you want to do it. Okay, so I put the answers down here at the bottom. I'll just kind of read the sentences with the answer in it. Es malo que ella coma antes de nadar. 2. Es terrible que yo saque malas notas en el examen. 3. Es una lástima que nosotros no pidamos la especialidad de la casa. 4. Es bueno que tú te recuperes rápidamente. 5. Es necesario que yo haga la tarea antes de la clase. 6. Es triste que ellos prefieran la esclavitud. 7. Es mejor que nosotros juguemos a voleibol fuera de la casa. 8. Es importante que vosotros toquéis el piano 3 veces al día. Sorry about that. 9. Es raro que tú empieces a trabajar inmediatamente. Y 10. Es lógico que el doctor le dé una receta al paciente. So, just in case you want some more practice, what I got for you here, there is a crossword puzzle that you can print off along with the document. It's a lot like the activity we just did, where I have some sentences and I've got some verbs that I want you to conjugate into the subjunctive, and then you can fill in the crossword puzzle. If you want to just do the activity and jot down the answers somewhere, you can do that too. And either way, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can do this activity, and then I'll go over the answers in just about 2 seconds. So here come the answers. Okay, so same thing, I'll just read the whole sentence along with the answer. 4. Horizontal. Es mejor que ella corra 2 millas. 5. Es una lástima que ellos no jueguen al baloncesto. 6. Es triste que nosotros estemos enfermos. 9. Es posible que ellos conozcan al presidente. 11. Es lógico que nosotros tengamos la tarea. 12. Es importante que nosotros busquemos caracoles. Vertical. 1. Es peligroso que nosotros nademos con los tiburones. 2. Es ridículo que tú vayas a la playa sin mis amigos. 3. Es bueno que tú hagas ejercicio. 7. Es probable que yo escriba la tarea. 8. Es raro que el maestro sea simpático. 10. Es malo que tú comas la carne del chupacabras. So that's it really for the 2 activities I have for you. So really for the subjunctive, for the formation of it anyway in the present tense, think opposites and also think yo forms. Keep in mind your boot verb changes. Keep in mind your car, gar, zar verbs and all those irregular ones. For now, if you're learning this in my class, just know that if you're taking a test and you see one of these expressions, these impersonal expressions at the beginning of a sentence, what's going to come after it for right now will be the present tense subjunctive. Other things can come after it, like the present perfect subjunctive, but we'll learn that later. So that's kind of it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment in the comment box below. Otherwise, sub for more and leave a like if you liked, and have a good day. Thanks.